Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country. And that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit.
Ooh, he swore. He's serious because he swore. Save the children. The thing his supporters went off on every day was just a big hoax by the Democrats because of how good everything's doing. Look at this. Republican says state's GDP has plunged 6% due to the trade war. Everything is fine, folks. Vegas is a wasteland. LAX was empty when we flew to New York on a Saturday. Nobody wants to come to this country anymore. They're only trying to divert you away from how successful we've become under me. You feeling successful? But this is not an episode about Trump. This is not an episode about them. This is an episode about them. The elites in this country are having secret dinners. I repeat, secret dinners in shady, dark rooms to cover up a ring. And you know who's not invited?
They say that they understand that the Vice President, J.D. Vance, is holding a strategy session this evening at his residence. They say, quote, missing from this group is, of course, any survivor of the vicious crimes of convicted perjurer and sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. They say their voices must be heard above all, and we also call upon the House subcommittee to invite survivors to testify.
Sure. That's the last people they want at their cover-up dinner. And Judge, just reach back into that brain of yours. It's not that hard. There's not too much in there. Just reach back to a year ago, all right? Because I'm about to tell you something. The elites, the head of the FBI, the head of the DOJ, the vice president of the United States, Donald Trump's own lawyer, Todd Blanche. The Todd in his name is short for toddler. They're all meeting to cover up the president's involvement in the largest, sickest ring in this country's history. This guy right here, Todd Blanche, Trump's lawyer. He's the only one who's got to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell. Her name's pronounced Ghislaine. I don't give a shit how her name's pronounced. He's the only person that gets to meet with her. And he met with her for 9 hours. And you know what they said in those 9 hours? You know what they covered? Of course not. And you will never know. Because the only thing you're going to get is a heavily redacted, White House's words, a heavily redacted document that probably just says, you know, Bill Clinton did all this, Obama did all this, Donald Trump was never there, he never knew Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine was moved to a country club resort in Texas. And you know why? To be closer to her family. Aren't you glad that we could accommodate the most prolific groomer to the most prolific... Aren't you glad we could accommodate her? Get her a lobster dinner in Texas so she could be closer to her family? But this only came after a 9-hour conversation with Trump's personal lawyer. He's the only one that gets to talk to him.
A pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell when you landed. Is that something you would ever consider and why?
Pardon for who?
For Ghislaine
For
Maxwell.
who?
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it.
Except
too
her.
much. I just wish her well, frankly.
The lady you wish well, she's been asking you for a pardon since you got in there. Who? I don't know anything. Me? What did I do? What kind of trouble am I in? You know what I mean? This was your issue. And what comes out of all this? Well, get ready, because this is the tip of the iceberg of the propaganda they're about to hit the morons with. Ghislaine Maxwell told DOJ Trump never did anything concerning around her. Oh, case closed. I feel better. Shut it down. The lady who brought children to Jeffrey Epstein. She says, in my honest estimation, everything I saw was above board. That character right there, right? Who's going to get a pardon because of all this. This is not an episode about them. This is an episode about you, Chud, because this was your moment, you idiot. You squandered it. Like I imagine you've squandered every moment in your life leading up to becoming this chud you are today. This is what you told us was happening. This is what you kept repeating. Save the children. Hashtag. This was your one issue. Let me recap it for you. Previously on Homeland. Previously on Epstein Island. Drinking diet Mountain Dew is sexist. You guys are great. I don't have a JD Vance impression. I tried to get into it with that cringe way, but I couldn't. Remember when we learned that our wealthiest and most powerful people were connected to a guy who ran a literal ring? And then that guy died mysteriously in a jail, and now we just don't talk about it anymore? Do you all remember that? Because Mascara here doesn't remember any of it. Do you remember when I hosted a cover-up dinner for that guy just 4 short years later? Because that's my moral character. But this is not an episode about them. This is not an episode about JD. Because JD knows who you are. He made his entire career about it. His entire book, which none of you have read, who thinks this guy's so great. His entire book is just shitting on you. Saying how stupid you are, how easily manipulated you are. That's all Hillbilly Elegy is. It's about you, chud. And JD held this dinner because he knows how stupid you are. So it'll go like this, right? It's a Democratic hoax. That's what Trump is saying. They got me. The Democrats tricked me into being friends with this guy for 20 years. They sure got me this time. Even though it's a hoax, though, we got to subpoena Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, right? When you subpoena every single person connected to Epstein except the guy who's currently in charge of the Justice Department, except the guy who gave Alex Costa, a role in his last administration, the guy who gave Epstein the sweetheart deal so he could go free to continue doing what he's doing. Well, you just exempt that guy. You're not investigating at all. You're performing. Now look, hillbillies, Trump's definitely not on that list. But his name does have to be redacted from the files that he's definitely not on. Just don't think about it. If you just don't think about it, it makes sense. There were no files on Pam Bondi's desk. I know she said it, but between me and you, I think she was on her period. And we know how women can get on their period. Very irrational. Hallucinatory. So there are no files to release. But we're going to strategize, a diddle defense at this dinner party by the vice president who wrote this just 4 short years ago. This is what they expect you to believe. And the sad part is, this is what you will believe. Give it a month. Give it 2 months. You're right back where you started. And in the overall picture, this isn't even about the Epstein files to me, right? It's what happens when political theater here meets governing reality. When a cult of personality finally wakes up from the coma in the hospital, they look around and decide they're too comfy in this cult of personality, so they go right back to sleep.
Sources telling CNN top administration officials will gather tonight at Vice President J.D. Vance's official residence for a strategy session. And the goal, we're told, is to form a unified response to the Epstein situation.
In the end, the elite's having a dinner to cover this up for the President of the United States. It only acts as a mirror to all of you. And when you look in that mirror with your red hat on, at the end of the day, all you are is someone who sends money to a guy who... MAGA just became, a good old sex cult. The Chud Report.